The pressure to secure your first internship within finance can be overwhelming. In this video, I will explain how I secured an investment banking internship, but also managed to fail a year at university at the same time. Now, I went to a university called London School of Economics, where it's incredibly intense when it comes to competition for those high-paying corporate jobs with those brand name companies like Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, and HSBC, where I have worked. Now, typically what ends up happening in those scenarios is very competitive, and this leads me to point one, which is application overload. Now, what happens is everyone's competing to get these top internships. There's only a handful of places available for these internships. And what ends up happening is people, including myself, you end up applying all the time for internships. Every day there's another 5-6 internships you're applying for all types of internships, not just the finance ones, because you want to get any experience you can, particularly when you're junior and you don't have as much experience as you'd hope for. So you're applying for, all the major investment banks, hedge funds, private equities, companies, emailing some companies directly that are smaller finance firms for an internship, talking to other companies outside of finance, but maybe looking to work in the finance department of a L'Oreal, of a Procter & Gamble, of Disney, of any other company that is offering internships, somewhat relation to even just professional work or finance related work. And it can become incredibly competitive. It can be a bit toxic, competitive environment in the university because everyone's applying to internships, not focusing on their studies. And it's easy to become obsessed with that and forget that, you are trying to pass your year at university and make it to the next year. So part of the reason that I failed that year at university was just focusing on applying for internships and not doing my studying, which I should have done at the time. Point number two is good grades are not enough. And part of the reason I was neglecting my university studies and just focusing on trying to get an internship, because I realized that good grades are not enough. You're in an environment where you're told, oh, we have a meritocracy, we have a competency-based hierarchy. If you work hard, you can succeed. If you get top grades, you can succeed. That's not really how it works. Experience is very important, but also you're dealing with kind of a rigged scenario where many people who are quite average and they're not very skilled, but they know they have contacts, they have a network. They might have come from a wealthy background. They benefit from nepotism. They benefit from coming from a wealthy environment, a wealthy family members who can hook them up with an internship, with a job, quite easily, even if they're quite average at the job. This is quite common within the finance industry. You'll see, even though you probably go into the finance industry thinking you're going to be dealing with lots of talented people, you're dealing with the absolute average mediocre people who might have done slightly good studying, slightly good degree, maybe went to a slightly good university. Many people who are from very wealthy backgrounds, completely the epitome of average performance, but they're in the right social circle, so they get propped up in these jobs. They might benefit from diversity, equity, and inclusion, knowing the right person, going to the right private school, going to Harvard or Yale or some other top university. They get hooked up with a well-paying job. They do a slightly average job. They're one of the manager's favorite, and they do fine. They get a job without naming banks. They get a job at a major investment bank because their father works at a hedge fund, and then they do a completely average job at the investment bank, but because the hedge fund is a client of the investment bank, they end up getting the job. So you're dealing with all these type of rigged scenarios. And I realized, even though I had strong academic background, 12 A stars at GCSE, 3 A's at A level, I got to university and I realized this thing's not really going to pay off. It got my foot in the door for a university, but it's not really going to carry me throughout my career. And there's a lot of networking and nepotism you have to deal with. So getting that internship is very important, and it's almost worth, in a sense, sacrificing your grades to a certain extent at university for the sake of getting that internship, because the experience is more important at the end of the day, if you don't have that network and you can't benefit from nepotism. Now, point number three is finding a healthy balance, right? So the truth is, I spent that second year of university applying for countless internships. I got an internship at a major investment bank. I worked on their trading floor. I got the job offer, and that put my mind at ease for my final year at university, my final 2 years at university, because I had to retake a year, because I knew I had a job offer ready for me. As soon as I graduate, I could start a job, no pressure, no stress, completed my internship, and I can just move forward with my life because I completed my internship, completed my degree, and have a job waiting for me at the end of my studies, which is great. And this is what I encourage you to do, to try and find a healthy balance, which I managed to learn the hard way from retaking the year. Essentially, if you're at university right now, you're feeling the pressure to get an internship and also, of course, complete your degree, get a good job offer. Try to find a healthy balance. What I would say is maybe you set up 1 day or 2 days a week, because sometimes the internship deadlines are quite tight. 2 days a week where you're applying for internships and not studying, but the other days you're just focusing on your studies. So maybe Sunday is a relaxed day. Don't stress yourself out too much about it. You can set up your laptop, maybe get some coffee or get some snacks or whatever, and just go through all the internships that you know are open and apply one after the other. It's quite repetitive, quite boring. Just get through it and you can get on with your life for the rest of the week. So maybe Sunday and Thursday, because typically the deadline might be a Friday, you could just focus on your internship applications. Rest of the time, relax, study, enjoy your time socializing. Don't worry too much about getting an internship beyond that. If you obsess over it, you'll mess up your weekly schedule, not focus on studying, fail a year at university and have to retake it and pay for the extra cost of retaking a year at university. You don't want to end up doing that, so I recommend you pace yourself when it comes to those university studying and those internship applications so you don't have to retake a year. Now, just to summarize, 3 things you can learn from my experience from applying to internships and failing a year at university. Point number 1, application overload. Pace yourself with those applications. Don't obsess over it too much. Point number 2, good grades are not enough. So that internship is important, so definitely do prioritize applying for them. Don't just think getting a first in your degree is going to pay off. You do need that experience, so internships, definitely apply for those. Number 3, find a healthy balance, as I just mentioned, between internship applications, focusing on your studies, and any other priorities you might have, like your health, working out, things like that. So try to prioritize those things, get the balance right, and I'm sure you'll be fine. Thanks for listening. There are 2 free videos on your screen right now, highly recommended. I hope you check those out. There's a free ebook in the description. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next video.